I hate when that happens.
It's the official Fangoria butt plug.
So Robbie, you've been doing this since 1984. Does it ever get old?
No, you know, I have to tell you guys, I had this great happy accident in my career, and that was I did a big science fiction television hit and Nightmare on Elm Street 1 at the same time. And what it did for me, when you're an actor in horror like science fiction and fantasy, it's universal in the truest sense of the world. Those films speak the language of film. So I became an international actor overnight. And let me tell you, there's nothing more fun when your pilot doesn't sell than to chase some girl that looks like Penelope Cruz around a castle in Spain.
Here it is, your first Monsterpalooza, you're the star of the show. What keeps
Don't say that too loud. Kane Hodder's around here somewhere. He'll choke me out.
I mean, you could be relaxing on your yacht. What brought you here?
Listen, I'm always working, and it's great to do the cons here and in Europe and in Asia, because I always have something coming out, you know, and it's a great chance for me to promote it with the fans and to see the fans. It's great fun to see, and this, you know, you guys, this show, I can't tell you the incredible memorabilia I've seen. I just saw some phenomenal Turkish posters of Heather and I saw an unbelievable opening day Paris Nightmare 6 3D poster of Freddy, and it's me camping around in the makeup and the sweater with the 3D glasses on. I know there's two versions. One, I'm doing kind of a Bob Fosse pose, and the other one, it's just a straight-on shot of me without the hat on. But they're really rare, and you know, as a collector, all the 3D stuff is going through the roof now. So, any of you guys have your old Vincent Price 3D posters? You should have them reevaluated, or get some UV glass on them. But it's great because I love being able to talk to the fans and promote stuff. Some stuff falls through the cracks. Some stuff gets rediscovered and achieves a kind of cult status. I had a great movie in 2015 that I'm really proud of called The Last Showing, with Finn Jones from Iron Fist and Emily Barrington from Humans.
Yeah, and you did a British accent in there as a projectionist.
Well, I gained weight and I shaved and I got a real ratty little mustache going, and I sort of channeled Richard Attenborough from Seance on a Wet Afternoon. But the director's terrific. It's got a lot of homage to Brian De Palma in it, early Brian De Palma. But I've been able to like kind of hype that, and coming out this year, Midnight Man with Lin Shaye. Yeah, directed by a wonderfully talented guy who was my art director on Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. So I have high hopes for that. You're going to get to see a peek at Night World. I'm going to watch it with you. All I've done is some looping on that, and now I'm finally allowed, and this is the true exclusive for Monsterpalooza. I've been like under lock and key. For the last year, I've been working on an insane game. And I have a couple of games out, as you know, but this one, now you guys know that I've done a lot of Warner Brothers. I did V at Warner Brothers. I've done a bunch of movies there. Never in my life, Tony, and Tony appreciates this. He's going to appreciate this. Never in my life have I had a better parking space than for this game. And so I get the best parking spot on the lot. But anyway, it's Injustice 2. I'm the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And I take on the entire DC universe. Come on, Supergirl, you little bitch.
Well, you've done a ton of voiceover work over the years. That's an easy gig. You show up in your slippers and pajamas.
It's unbelievable, and they're all clustered together. You know, most of them are in Studio City. And there's like great little secret restaurants, little sushi bars, and there's that great deli near there. So I can either stay with my agent who lives there, so I can stay for free, or I go up and I stay in that old sportsman's lodge, and I stay in the back part. That's where all the old cowboy actors hang out. But it's the best pool in LA. So it's really fun. The last time I was there, I was doing my laps, trying to suck in my gut, and Jennifer Rubin was there, you know? So I saw Jennifer Rubin from Nightmare 4, yeah.
A second ago, you mentioned the rise of Leslie Vernon. There's been talk about a sequel finally happening. Have you heard?
Well, the sequel script is incredible, and they've got me and Scott Wilson promised. They've got myself and Scott Wilson promised, and Angela Goethals, who I think is still in Westwood right now doing Long Day's Journey into Night on stage, Angela, and Nathan Basil, obviously. And, but that will be, for you guys, that will be a gesture of love, the movie. What we really want to do is a graphic novel, and then an Indiegogo fundraiser to support our pitching. We're all going to be pitching it as a series, and it will really highlight Angela as a kind of 30-something Buffy training survivor girls, because there's been, unlike the zombie apocalypse, in our world, in our universe, there's been a recurring of famous serial killers coming back to the fore.
Well,
We'll probably have to guest star with Kane Hodder.
Well, we gave the folks a taste of the first Nightmare. We're going to show you guys a classic scene from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Here we go, Mark Patton.
We got special work to do here, you and me. You've got the body. I've got the brain.
I don't know whether to kiss that kid or kill him. Was that, I don't know if that was Mark Shostrom or a Greg Canham makeup effect. They're both here. I know Greg's here.
That was Kevin Yeager. I think Kevin
No. Kevin Yeager did me, but I think the brain
Shostrom.
was Shostrom, yeah. Working with Kevin. And Greg Canham did stuff on that too, yeah.
The reputation for Nightmare 2 is starting to grow in recent years. At first, when it came out, it was pretty much maligned. But now this whole subtext that's been bandied about, when you were shooting it, was that relevant at all?
Yeah, and you know, some people are in denial about this, but we always played the fact that these kids grew up together, these buddies, and you know, there's that really fine line in friendship when you're young and full of hormones. You know, they explore that in that great Malcolm McDowell movie, If. But Freddy is messing with Jesse's head. You know, Freddy's messing with Jesse's head and the boys, and he's manipulating them a little bit. And, you know, back in the day, there were people doing thesis papers at some of the biggest universities, and they were calling, you know, that, they were saying that's some of the first gay horror ever done on film. And there had been that one with Susan Sarandon and Catherine Deneuve, The Hunger. But we were playing with that, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like discussed a lot, but I mean, I remember talking about that with Mark, and I remember talking about it with Kim. And you know, I think Jack and the writer, there were so many other elements that they were concentrated on. They weren't really flying that flag, but they knew we were hitting that as one of the levels of the script. Because there's like, obviously Bob Shea does a cameo in it as an S&M bartender. And there's a, you know, full bondage scene, you know, in the shower. I mean, come on, guys.
Well, the second one made even more money than the first one. Things really went supernova on the third film, Dream Warriors.
Probably, if you took a poll, if you took a vote, Dream Warriors is probably the fan favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, do you guys agree? When you were making Dream Warriors, did you have a feeling that this was going to take Freddie up to the next level and, you know, mainstream icon?
Here's what I remember most about Dream Warriors. Rodney Eastman and one of the other actors, they fell incredibly head over heels in love with Patricia Arquette. And it was like, I felt like Cyrano de Bergerac. They were literally having me check their love letters to her. They were, and then it was crazy. You know, they were, and so I remember that. And then I believe Priscilla Pointer worked in that film, in the clinic. And I had seen Priscilla Pointer, Amy Irving, Carrie's mother, on stage in New York as a young actor. And I had a huge crush on Amy Irving's mother, you know, who later married Steven Spielberg, Amy Irving. But I was like, so it was very awkward for me because she was there with her husband all the time on the set. And I kept wanting to tell her, oh man, I saw you in Play Strindberg at Lincoln Center. Oh my gosh, you know, I had such a crush on you. But so I was like dealing with that, and also all the kids that were falling in love with Patricia. But I did come up with probably the most famous line of the franchise in that movie. They had written an awkward line, something like, gee, Jennifer, now you're in the big time, or something like that. And I kind of switched it around and made it fit in Freddie's mouth, and it became, welcome to prime time, biatch.
Let's show the clip from that. Yeah, we have that scene. That's one of the all-time best kills. We'll play that for you now.
Silly thing to ask you, but how many of what did they have to kill?
Don't say that because I love animals and I've seen animal shelters. I bought it on a red, it's black in it, so I didn't know what it was.
Probably from an artificial bird. Did you ever go to any kind of acting school?
Not in the beginning. I started a talk show, you know.
But when a young actress says, how do you succeed in this business, you don't always say you have to study.
I think you should study, work, and then maybe you can make it.
Can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who in that fuck what you think?
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Fuck the prime time, bitch.
You know that line of dialogue?
Well, I mean, in that scene alone, there's more pop culture going on. You've got Larry Fishburne, you know, The Matrix, right?
Yep.
You've got Zsa Zsa Gabor and Dick Cavett and Freddy Krueger all in one scene. So we were really doing some early cultural mashup.
You know, my writer was on the set when you shot the scene with Zsa Zsa Gabor where Freddie says, who gives a fuck, what you think, Zsa Zsa? And we ran that line of dialogue in the magazine, we printed it, and we generally never use the F word in the magazine, but Freddie said it, so we thought it was okay. Some little kid in Arkansas read that line in the magazine and was running around the kitchen saying that, who gives a fuck, what you think, Zsa Zsa? The guy's mother called the police, and they called the newsstand, and we got thrown off newsstands because of that. Thanks, Robert.
Well, you know, it's so funny because Zsa Zsa is a kind of icon, and Cavett certainly was. And so I had this great backstage talk with Dick. I had been in New Orleans on a TV movie and walked into a great bar that was built It's called Napoleon House, and it was built to bring Napoleon to by Lafayette. And it's been open every day since 1750. It's a great bar right down by the river. You can smell the dirty Mississippi. And I was in there with this beautiful older actress drinking Pimm's cups on a hot day. I had a break in this movie, and it was Dick Cavett's wife. And I got her to tell me all these great Broadway stories so I could share that with Dick. So Dick knew that I could really, we could really switch me out with him and really have some fun. But it was Dick's idea not to introduce me to Zsa Zsa. She had no idea who Freddy Krueger was. She didn't know what she was in for. She really thought with her ego that it was all about her and Dick Cavett. And she was so happy to be on this Dick Cavett show in a movie. She had no idea that this guy with a claw was gonna vivisect her.
I love how you have all these connections to these people before you even get to work with them. It's like 1 degree of Robert Englund.
Well, it's true of all show business, and we're all fans. Everybody here, everybody at this show is a fan. I'm a fan of people at this show. I'm seeking them out. Barbara Steele, my God. I saw my old pal George Wendt yesterday, and I was in a bar with George 100 years ago, and he'd had 2 pilot offers at the same time, and I sort of said, you ought to do this one with Ted Danson, because I'd just seen The Onion Field. So there is this strange 1 degree of separation that we all have. And see, I worked years ago with Lillian Gish in a movie. Now, Lillian Gish goes back to silent films. So I literally now, because of that particular job, I can be connected with anybody. I can be connected to Charlie Chaplin. I can be connected, to John Barrymore. Well, I can be connected to John Barrymore because I used to babysit for a little kid named Drew Barrymore.
Actually, we established a segment on Fangoria Radio on Sirius called 6 Degrees of Robert Englund, where people would call in and they would try to stump the host of the show.
They never can stump me.
And they could never stump us, yeah. There was always a connection to somebody.
Well, I started my first movie in '73, and it's, I'm coming on to 50 years now. So over that time, I did a movie with Henry Fonda too. So that makes me access all those people, because of Henry, and you can tie me into somebody from The Grapes of Wrath,
Well, with your history, how do you feel about the changes that the industry has gone through?
Well, we just love that sequence, right? We just saw the Welcome to Primetime Bitch sequence. That's all real. There's no CGI in that. Yep. Those arms are real. That's a stunt girl doubling the actress, so she won't get hurt. That girl went home black and blue, but everything you saw in that was real. And and I love CGI. And I love the use of CGI, but I like it when it's subtle, and I like it when it's blended in. I think what happens when everything is CGI is you watch the movie with a little more of a distance from the screen because it looks a little more like a cartoon. And I think some stories that serves well. I think that's one of the great reasons that we'd embrace those game-changing movies, Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool, so much. Because they were having so much fun, and we could look at them a little bit like a cartoon or a graphic novel, which source material on both of them. But I think that's the big change. But I'm still seeing great stuff all the time. You can follow my tweets. I every week on demand. I go to the horror section and look at all the trailers. And I don't just watch horror, but I'm kind of, au courant with that stuff. And if you haven't seen The Witch, if you haven't seen Split, if you haven't seen Get Out, if you haven't seen Bone Tomahawk, whoa, we're still coming up. We're still making some great stuff.
You're talking about how the industry has gotten so high-tech in recent years, starting with Freddy's Dead. It started to slowly get into, of course, 3D. And that film also includes, I think, what was your favorite kill from all the Nightmare movies. Maybe we'll play that now.
He's here
That's
somewhere,
right.
yeah.
So maybe we'll play the
Ricky
scene
Dean
from
Logan.
Freddy's Dead. I think this is your favorite kill.
Shit.
No. No, no,
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
It looked like you were making love to that blackboard.
Well, you know what I love is that it's such a God, who's the great Canadian director? Dead Ringers? Cronenberg. That's such a Cronenberg head explosion, you know. The guys love doing that. But yeah, that's what I love is, you know, that's a real politically incorrect sequence, you know. And I hate the fact, and I know many, and I don't even know what the politically correct term is anymore. I don't think it's disabled anymore. Special needs actors. Gosh, I work with actors that are you know, in wheelchairs and or you know, have problems with their sight, and they don't just want to play goody-goody people all the time. They don't just have to be the good guy or the nice guy or the saint or the martyr. They want to be bad guys and villains as well. And I love the political correctness of that, or political incorrectness of that. That Freddy's an equal opportunity serial killer, you know? He doesn't care if you've got a hearing aid, he'll get you.
Hey, would you folks like to ask some questions? I don't have to hog this mic for the full hour. You guys got some good Robert Englund questions? Don't be shy. Yeah, guy standing against the wall. What's your favorite kill?
Well, that's my favorite Freddy kill. Yeah, I mean, I you know, it's kind of fun, you know, dragging Johnny Depp down into that bed too. Yeah, but that's my favorite one just because of all the ramifications for it. I had a great kill in 4 with Kenny Sagos, but they put a Freddy punchline on the end of it. When we did it dark, it was really, I gave him the kiss of death, and there was a shot between the legs of Jacques Heitken's wife. She's the camera girl, first assistant camera on the original Nightmare. And Wes wanted a point of view shot of Tina's last moments alive while I was dragging her on the ceiling. And so we took the jeans off of Amy and we put some of the blood from Amanda Wiss, Tina, on her legs. And she held the camera and I pulled her and dragged her around the ceiling. And at the end, I had a lot of the blood gel makeup from David Miller on my claws. And I looked at it, it looked kind of like a cobweb, and I slowly blew her a kiss of death with the claws, and it actually formed a blood bubble. Kind of came away. It was so hardcore that Wes used that, because you were like, literally the shot is between a girl's legs with blood on them, like they're in the gynecological stirrups. And Wes used that sequence to get his way with all of the stuff he wanted to get in the movie. So he led the censors to believe that he was really going to use that, and that's how he got all the other stuff in the movie.
Hey, the person on the left there. Go ahead.
Hey, Tony.
Hey.
And Robert. Good to see you again. My question was, how was it working with Tim Sullivan on 2001 Maniac?
How was it working with Tim Sullivan on 2001?
Tim Sullivan, yeah. Well, you know, Tim had been one of Michael DeLuca's interns at New Line. You know, Michael DeLuca practically runs the town now. He just produced the Oscars. And Michael was working at New Line then, and one of his interns was Tim Sullivan. And Tim used to hang around, I think it was part 4, Nightmare 4, the Rennie Harlan film. And he told me back then, I'm writing a script for you. If I do, will you do it? And I told him, yeah. He was a great guy, a real fan. And at that time, he was ahead of, and Tony will attest to this, I think. Tony was in this world a bit, but he was sort of ahead of the curve with Action Figure Magazine. Yeah, that was his first love. Boys. But then Tim wrote 2001 Maniacs for me. That character was written for me, and he wrote the part for Lynn Shay as well. And so it was really fun working with Tim, but you know, our original set was out in Santa Clarita. and it burned down. So we had to move at the last second all the way to Georgia. And I think it actually helped the movie because that was a real period town we shot in. Yeah. But again, because of that move, we were really on a deadline. So we were working real hard and we spent a lot of our money moving everybody to Georgia.
Hey, we have a question in the front over here. Go ahead. What was it like working with
I get
Johnny
asked this a
Depp?
lot. People think I like hang out with Johnny in Paris or something. I wish I was. No, Johnny was a sweetheart, and you know he was the boy back then. He was the boy you bring home to mom, like the girl you bring home to mom. He was polite, called me sir, called everybody man, but he had the best hair in the world. He had like Elvis hair. That he was into rockabilly, and he just had the best hair, and he dressed kind of rockabilly all the time. A stovepipe black Levi's with rockabilly boots with pointy toes. He buttoned his collar up a lot to the top. And that, you know, those shirts that Kramer wore on Seinfeld, a lot of those are actually kind of CW country western short sleeve rockabilly shirts. And Johnny used to wear those and he was real polite. And one day we got just sick of the peanut butter and jelly craft service. You know, little cocktail weenies and Cheetos. And I think it was Johnny and I'm trying to think who else went with us, Nick Corey. We all went across the street. There was a Thai restaurant across Cahuenga. And you know, by now we were 5 or 6 weeks into the movie, and everybody was used to hanging out with me in the makeup. It wasn't a big deal. I'm Robert, right? And I'm not Freddie. And we went into the place, and I had the hat on, and I had the makeup on, but it was a dark Thai restaurant, and we ordered, and I was facing a door to the kitchen. It had one of those portholes in it, kitchen doors with a porthole in it. And I'm sitting there, and it's kind of dark. Well, the double doors get swing open, and this 90-year-old, God love him, probably fresh off the boat, Vietnamese immigrant comes through the door with a full tray of Thai food, pot stickers for me and my men. And he saw me and he lost the whole tray, all the food. He slipped like he was on a banana peel. I felt terrible. Ran back in the kitchen. I think he's still running. But that was a real big lesson to me that I have to be careful of messing around in the makeup, you know, because people just aren't prepared for it. You could cause a heart attack.
Okay, a question in the back on the right. Yeah, go ahead, shout it out.
Have you ever made love in full Freddie makeup?
No, but I've been made love too. If you know what I mean.
Okay, on the left in the back, by the aisle, yep, you. Go ahead.
And Jason was a hell, Freddy's love, rather Jason's mask. Became a movie, awesome. Freddy's clothes and Evil Dead, and in the series, any possibility of that can happen, or would you want that to happen?
We almost made Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Oh. And it's an interesting story, you know. I'm a little upset. I mean, just on an economic level, we left a lot of money on the table. They wanted to do the remake. They wanted to reboot the franchise because Freddy versus Jason was such a huge hit. But Sam Raimi then was absolutely the god, the king of Hollywood in movies because of the first Spider-Man. Huge success. Sam and some other people proposed that they do Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Bob Shea and New Line didn't want to yet. They knew I think they were going to sell to Time Warner and give the franchises that they owned, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the Nightmare franchise off to Michael Bay and Platinum Dunes to reboot them. And well, they have done that with various success. Not all works, but some of them are okay. Some of them are good. But the real kibosh was that they wanted Ash to win. Sam wanted Ash to win, which I thought was a great idea. New Line didn't want Freddy to lose again, as if they couldn't resurrect me, right? It's Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
I think on one of the movies I got resurrected by dog piss. You know? But anyway, they didn't want me to lose twice in a row. But I could just imagine the poster. Imagine Bruce Campbell in his 40s with his shirt unbuttoned and 300 spray painted abs, right? And me and Kane Hodder in a headlock, right?
Yeah.
And I could just see the byline on the poster. You know, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, keeping the world safe from sequels.
Okay, all the way in the back on the right with the Freddy glove.
Hello. Be careful when you go to the bathroom, you can change your religion with it.
Can you share with all of us your favorite memory with Wes Craven, and are you 100% sure that you've come up with blood for good?
So I'm doing a great series that some of you may remember called Nightmare Cafe. And an unfortunate title. It was originally called The Terminal Bar. And we were Purgatory, and it was with the wonderful actor Jack Coleman from Heroes, and Lindsay Frost and I. And then every week, phenomenal guest stars. It was an anthology. And we were sort of this place on the way to heaven or hell. And you'd come to this cafe, and you'd get to make something right in your life. And on your way up or on your way down. And just remarkable actors worked on that show, Angela Bassett. Anyway, I fell in love with Vancouver, and I was like living right up the street by the beautiful park up there that's as good as Central Park, Stanley Park. You know, right down the street was Katie Lang's bar, you know, and they would lock the door at 2 in the morning, and you could drink martinis all night, and Katie Lang would sing. It was great, and I had this phenomenal apartment with my wife and my dog. And so I'd scored the best apartment. I was always hosting little dinner parties. So here it is. It's 11:45 on a Saturday night. Jack Coleman, who's 6'5" and 6'4", Wes Craven, who's 6'4", 6'5", on my couch with their big long legs. My wife and I, we've all been drinking. And on Saturday Night Live comes the Head Wound Harry sketch with Dana Carvey. And this is the darkest, most phenomenal sketch ever. Head wound, making fun of head wounds. And there's a dog in the sketch, and the dog can't stop licking the head wound because it's got makeup on it that's sugary. And Wes starts to laugh, and Jack starts to laugh, and I start to laugh, and we